Bit 16, you've never seen a review like this. Weird old games you cannot tame, this world that you miss. SNES Man is the champion, he is 16-bit. SNES Man is the champion, he is 16-bit.
Hello, my name's SNES Man. Today we're going to talk about an obscure RPG for the Super Nintendo, EVO, The Search for Eden. Until people started telling me, SNES Man, you should play this, I had never heard of it. And the game cartridge costs $170, so I was like, no way. Well, I took the cheater's path. I downloaded a ROM off the internet. I've never talked about ROMs before because they're really shaky territory. Due to my public relations policy, I can't tell you how to download emulated games. Just research the topic on your own if you're curious. Anyway, I have used ROMs in the past to record game footage because it's so convenient. And I bought an SNES USB controller, so the experience is almost as good as playing the real thing on a TV. I like the controller, but there's something magical about a real cartridge and a real controller and a real TV that you don't get from playing on a computer. Anyway, let's dive into today's game, EVO, The Search for Eden, and get down to gaming. Here's the premise of the game. A goddess named Gaia plops you down in the beginning of Earth as a fish, and from there your goal is to keep evolving and, more importantly, survive. Let me just say this right now, you will not find a game like this on the Super Nintendo. But we'll get more into that later. For now, let's just talk about life as a fish. As a fish, your primary attack is the bite. You press Y and lunge forward a couple inches, taking a chomp out of whatever's in front of you. Once you defeat an enemy, you can eat their remains to regain some health and a couple experience points. Depending on the enemy, some give you more health and some give you more experience. Underwater, you can move in 4 directions with the control pad, unlike in most platformers where the B button swims, keeping you afloat. EVO realized that fish are good at swimming. Who would have thought it? So it gives you quite a bit of freedom and mobility underwater. Most of the early enemies are jellyfish, pathetic little creatures that won't give you much trouble. But you've got to eat a lot of them before you gain any experience. Level grinding is a huge part of the game, sadly. It's like Pokemon, except much more demanding and repetitive. When you tackle an Enix game like EVO, you have to come in with a high level of patience and courage. The game certainly gets hard at times. When you're just a scrawny, pathetic little fish swimming around and there's sharks and monsters in the water, you feel powerless. You feel like you are a fish. That sense of desperation really comes through while you're playing this game. I got into a fish mindset so much while I was playing this that I started craving earthworms and plankton. No, seriously, I had to go to bait rehab. That's why this simple little video took so long to make. The first boss in EVO is a huge shark, and geez is it hard to kill. It's like Jaws versus a guppy, and you can bet your ass you're not Jaws in this fight. You have to trick him into bonking his head against a wall and then attack him. But of course, you can only get in one bite before he bitch slaps you with his tail and wipes out all your health. Here's a secret I heard about killing bosses. For every time you open up your evolution menu and evolve, you regain all your health. In other words, come into a boss battle with lots of XP points and you can keep reviving yourself. Even with this trick, which is pretty much cheating, a lot of bosses can kill you with one hit, so it's not foolproof. Let's finally talk about evolution. To evolve in this game, you need to go to your evolution menu and choose a body part to upgrade, whether it be jaws, tail fin, dorsal fin, or whatever. Then you can spend some points and evolve. You can make some pretty goofy looking creatures like this. The game is split into different eras of time, the third one being Dinosaurs. That's my favorite one. You get to chase around these terrified little lizards and chomp on their bones. For once, you feel like you're at the top of the food chain. And dinosaurs are just cool. They make awesome enemies. Brachiosaurus, Pachycephalosaurus, T-Rex, they're just beyond awesome. The other worlds include the Ice Age, the Age of Mammals, and yes, the Age of Early Man. But I don't want to spoil that for you. If I had discovered this game as a kid, it would have made me weep with joy, but also with agony, because it can be pretty frustrating now that I think of it. There's a kind of unfinished feel to some parts of the game. For instance, you can save up to 50 creatures in one save file, a huge freaking amount, but you almost never get to use them. Only when you get a crystal or something, so for the most part you're stuck with whatever you evolved into. And let's admit it, EVO fans, the controls are awkward. Just a dash, you have to double tap the control pad and let your character do a little animation before you run. I swear your character feels like a pansy. If you run into a wall or any sort of dense object, you bonk your nose and lose some health. Ow, I bonked my nose! So stupid! And the hit detection is really weird. For some reason, your attacks will miss a lot, and the enemies can corner you and get you stuck in a barrage of attacks. Hope you like being a punching bag. It's hard to describe, but once you play it, you'll know what I mean. The combat isn't really the most impressive aspect of the game, and no one's going to deny that. What makes the game cool is the atmosphere and the creativity in letting you evolve. And the graphics and presentation are really realistic and mature. This isn't some boring run-of-the-mill, phoned-in game like so many others I've played over the years.
Things to make it better.
More complex game combat, at least a few special moves to add variety to the level crunching. More fair bosses that don't require cheating to beat. And less general confusion. For instance, why can't you use save creatures at any time? I don't even know what those crystals do half the time. On my scale, E.V.O. The Search for Eden scores an 8 out of 10. That might be a little too generous considering all the game's flaws, but I just can't give it anything lower because it's just plain ambitious. It's really rare for a game company to design a game based on evolution. The closest I can think of is Spore for the PC, but that's more of an RTS, not an adventure. I would love to see a sequel to E.V.O. on the 3DS or the Wii. Message to Nintendo, make that happen. This is SNES Man, and thank you for watching. If you have any comments about EVO or RPG games in general, don't hesitate to leave a comment, as long as it's not a debate about evolution versus creationism or something philosophical like that. Let's all be one happy family and stick to what we know, gaming. This has been a SNES Man review, and I'll talk to you all sometime soon.